Some issues, frankly, they're deadly in politics. For years, if you mentioned cutting Social Security, you were in trouble. That's why they called it the third rail. Cut defense, you're weakening America and you better look for other work. Vote against tougher prison sentences, weak on crime. Now, just a few years ago, you talk about same-sex marriage, making that legal, that was a no-no. So much so that Republican in state after state put amendments on the ballots outlawing gay marriage altogether to put candidates on the spot and also to boost conservative turnout when it came election day. But the times, they are changing, and they could maybe change for good this week. And beyond what the Supreme Court wrestles with, Andrew, there's also the politics as usual behind it.
It's a wave. Every aspect of society, politics, the courts, and just people in regular day-to-day life, Rich. They've been the highlight cases on the docket of the Supreme Court since the schedule was announced for the year. On Tuesday, the court hears arguments on California's Prop 8, which outlawed same-sex marriage. The court's ruling could legalize gay marriage across the U.S. Wednesday, the court hears arguments on the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, the 1996 law excluding same-sex spouses from the same benefits enjoyed by other married couples. As Rich said, the issue has been a fast-moving one in recent years. 9 states plus the District of Columbia now allow same-sex marriages. The polls have moved even faster than individual states have on the issue. 58% of Americans in the latest poll say they now support same-sex marriage. And check out how opinion has changed on the subject. This chart shows polling since 2004. And you see the line, the green line and red line have basically changed places. The nation essentially reversing its position on same-sex marriage in just 9 years. How fast are opinions changing on same-sex marriage? Republican strategist Karl Rove, who pushed for a constitutional amendment outlawing gay marriage after the 2004 elections, on Sunday said, quote, he could imagine a GOP candidate for president supporting same-sex marriage. Rich?
All right, Andrew, thank you. And I don't know about you guys, I don't remember an issue has changed so fast with the velocity of this thing and how opinion, I know it is generational, but even older generations, they know somebody, whether somebody, the family, a family friend here, a co-worker, somebody, and they say, oh, yeah, that's not so scary, I'm supporting it now.
Good reason why the Supreme Court shouldn't act on it. Let democracy work. And handle it on state-by-state basis. If DOMA is going to be overturned, let the Congress do it.
But if it's an issue of fundamental fairness, isn't it an issue of fundamental fairness in every state, not just the ones where it's legal or illegal? I mean, how can that fundamental fairness factor go one way in New York and another way in Oklahoma?
Yeah, why should you have less rights in New York than you do Arkansas if you're gay?
This is a political issue. Let it be decided on a state by state.
Well, by
the way, remember what Roberts in voting to support Obamacare said. I'm not going to overrule even something that's been bad done by Congress. Congress has to do that. And I think that's the position the Supreme Court will take.
They certainly have to take if they want to punt a
end.
little bit and leave it to state by state. But
yeah.
I'd argue, is there an argument that maybe Republicans would love to see this done? Because that way, on an issue of public opinion that's moving so quickly, you don't put Republicans on the state levels in binds by having to vote against something that's becoming more and more popular. If the court takes care of it, you guys don't have to worry about it on a state-by-state basis.
That's a very nice political argument, but I don't think the Supreme Court was established by the Constitution to protect Republicans politically.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, do you think privately Republicans are keeping their fingers crossed that Roberts, in effect, takes care of the problem for them?
I think that I don't think Republicans would be making that argument.
Well, I know Democrats on an issue. I think everybody.
By the way, you know why Prop 8 passed? Because it's 08. Unprecedented number of blacks showed up to vote, and they voted against same-sex marriage.
But in every demographic, Dominic, not just the younger generation, in every demographic, it's quickly changing, the opinions.
You know, the graphic that Andrew showed, it's remarkable. Since 2004, the numbers have literally gone in opposite direction.
And if you look at people under 40, it's even amazing.
Yes.
Those numbers.
Now, I don't know with the conservatives on the court, I don't know. It's more likely that they'll decide, I believe it's no impact. That would be the court taking the pass on this. But I do want to point out one thing about Karl Rove. He said a Republican candidate could support gay marriage. He didn't say the nominee will support gay marriage. That's a huge difference.
Okay. I was watching him. I read it that he thought you could be elected and be for gay marriage as a Republican. But we all know this. there's so many different flashpoints for this issue. In New York, we saw its passage, and I thought there was some courageous Republicans who took positions, some losing their jobs is a large part of it. We mentioned Steve Saland as one of them, which I thought was a real shame, that apparently in a primary it's a non-starter. But there was also on the national level this subject of Rob Portman. And if we could, guys, I think we have what Senator Portman had to say, but I'll give the thrust of it. In explaining why, and his son came out of the closet to him 2 years earlier, and he said, listen, I love my kid, and I've changed my mind on this. But he said it should be the conservative position that government should stay out of your bedroom. And I thought that was the best way out for Republicans who even might struggle with the social conservatives to say, you know what, he's right. Keep government out of our lives, keep government out of our bedroom. Isn't that a great kind of template for a Republican who struggles with this issue to be able to use?
Well, for libertarian Republicans, but I think if you want a conservative argument, stable relationships, period. And I think that is a very strong conservative argument that you can appeal to conservative Republicans are with respect to gay marriage.
Judge Roberts' cousin is going to be in attendance, and she's a lesbian, and
wants to get married.
Right, and you have had a lot of lawmakers who have Dick Cheney, for one, and others who have a loved one or a colleague. Ted Olson, for example, is going to be presenting the case with David Boies. He was the Solicitor General under Bush, as you know. Do you think that even impacts people on the high court when they can touch and feel someone that they know, that this isn't just theory? I've heard debates about this, that once you put the robe on, it's all blinders, but we're all humans at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that individual life experiences or people you know probably do impact your decision.
Right?
You would think so, or at least opens your mind to the possibility. I mean, I would expect John Roberts to make his ruling based on the law only and what his interpretation of the law is, but it wouldn't shock me if we found out later that he was open to the idea because he had family.
A lot of people think, as we know, that John Roberts' ruling as related to Obamacare was one that maybe had to do with the letter of the law, but also some calculations as well. And when we come back, this could be, when the history books look at it, be President Obama's legacy issue, but Obamacare turns 3, and many people still debating how much it has helped and some arguing how much it's hurt. How do voters feel about the controversial law 3 years later? We'll get into that. And later, Bloomberg on stage singing, and our own Dominic Carter role in the performance. He'll make you wish your TV was stuck on mute. I'm sorry, I just read here. But one of tonight's panelists, as I said, I gave away who it was there, and another one was in the audience. We'll see how they perform.
Not me.
Yes. Or